Hi, I'm Dave Westcott, and I'm here to talk to you today and share with you today about preserving a good reputation. Man, that's a tough one. That is that can definitely be tough in a business that is so internet driven and so internet focused. And even with your staff's on Glassdoor, your customers are on Yelp, you're somewhere in the middle. And how do you preserve that good reputation that you work hard to build? And I think building a good reputation really comes from how you treat your team. I think it really starts with how you treat your team and how you empower your team, how you reward your team, and how you take care of your team. And so today, we're going to talk about this reputation, but what happens when you get a Google review that says, "This is the worst company ever. Don't trust these guys. They are scammers, scammers, scammers." Or "This was the worst experience I could ever imagine." Now, the truth about your good reputation is if you were the guy doing the work, if you were the guy in the field, if you have yourself and several employees and you just do one job at a time or one project at a time, and it's just this small outfit, it's really easy. Or I should say, it's a lot easier to maintain that reputation, right? Because you're in total control of everything that's happening. But if you want growth, if you want to grow, if you want to take your business to the next level, you have to trust people. You have to put your work, your customers, your name, your brand in the hands of other people. And then you have to ensure that they deliver the same way that you would. And different guys deliver different ways. I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. I'm doing work for Radio Shack back when Radio Shack existed. And I've got a contract to service all of their on-demand repairs across the US. And a facility manager calls in and he's asking for an update on a work order, and I've got a stressed out work order management team member in the office, and he's like, "F you, man, get off my case." And what happens next? Boom. Immediately terminated, right? $1.3 million contract down the tube. I think about that a lot. Think about your reputation. Every single customer, every single client, everybody out there is going to lose customers. You are going to fail at some point. You will not make everybody happy. And to the customers and the buyers, at the end of the day, guess what? The companies that you are buying from aren't perfect. Even though you want them to be perfect and you want to check their references and validate this and validate that and look at all of these different things, the fact of the matter is you can check as many things as you want, but the truth of the matter comes down, all companies make mistakes. I had an opportunity to work with a large movie theater company, owned 400 or 500 movie theaters in the United States, based in the UK. And they wanted me to take on their facility management program. And I took a look at the work, and I took a look at what they were asking, and I took a look at the pricing. And so I decided to go through the hoops, and I provided them the pricing, and they came back and we had 3 or 4 interviews, and I'm sitting there with them and they're saying, "Hey, listen, we'd like to provide you, we'd like you to do the work for us. We'd like you to be the contractor that does the work in the theaters." And I said, "Well, I've got a couple of questions for you before I decide to do that." And I said, I need to understand your financial position. I need to see your financials. And they're like, what? You need to see my financials? And I was like, yeah, I need to know that you can financially pay these bills when I do this work for you. I mean, you've got hundreds of locations across the United States, and you're going to trust me to go out and do this work for you. And then I'm going to trust you to pay me the money, because it's not just me that's getting paid, it's my subcontractors that are getting paid, right? I got to take care of my subs. I got to take care of my partners out in the field. I got to be able to pay my people, got to pay for payroll, got to pay for technology. I got to pay for all these things, right? And I said, I've been doing some research on you, and based on your last financial reporting, it's like you guys were on the verge of contemplating a reformation bankruptcy. And I'm on the phone with 7 executives from this company, and the phone's dead silent. And I'm like, well, can you explain that? And they're like, we're going to have to get back to you. And so I'm doing some research, and I'm just learning about the company, and you're reading in forums, you're reading in the journal, you're reading just about the company, you're looking at news releases, and you look at their struggle. And I have to decide right there, sure, maybe $4 or $5 million worth of work. Is it worth it to take that business on and not perform? Now, I'll tell you that I worked for a company named The Beautiful Group out of Southern California, who was the largest owner of Regis hair salons and styling salons, and they owned several other hair salon places, and we took on a contract with them for 400 some locations, and we're doing tens of thousands of dollars of work every single week. And guess what happens? They go bankrupt. They don't pay the bills. So what does that do to my reputation? I mean, their reputation is already shot. It's already in the toilet. These people, they sign you on, and they don't care about you. They don't care about your success. All they know is they've got an objective to get accomplished that came from their leadership, and their leadership is trying to move the ball forward, trying to get a sale, trying to get things taken care of, trying to become profitable, whatever they're trying to do. They don't necessarily care about you. So having a good reputation means also investigating the people that you're working for, making sure that you're not putting your brand in a bad place. And that's what the Beautiful Group did with me. It took me a couple of years to recover from what happened with the Beautiful Group. And before that, Cachet, women's fine clothing, right? In malls all across America. I had the HVAC contract nationally for many, many stores. I think it was 158 stores. And these stores would bang out, $5,000, $10,000 a day in work orders. They're paying their bill, they're paying their bill, they're paying their bill. All of a sudden they get a bill that gets running behind. And they're like, oh yeah, no, that check's being processed. And about 2 more weeks go by, still no check, right? That bill gets up to 150 grand. And I say, hey, we gotta stop servicing until we get paid. And what happens? 2 days later, we get a bankruptcy notice. Boom, they're gone. Look at the fallout from that, right? Who are you working for? Because now your reputation is now affected by those companies that you're doing business with. So whoever you get into bed with, just remember, whatever they got, you're taking with you. And so building a good reputation means that not all business is good business. Not all business is right for your company. And so as you build your business and as you think about your reputation and as you grow, the first part of that is really comes down to making sure that the values of the companies that you're working with align. Now, in my story with the cinemas, it didn't work out. I turned them down. I said, I'm not going to do this business. They were so mad at me. They're like, we went through this process and we've chosen you and you won't take the work. Well, you know what? They couldn't come with real information on their financial status. And so I said, listen, I'm sorry that it's not going to work out. You know, I've also wasted my time too, but I got to protect my business and my brand. And I said, I'm going to refer you to another national aggregator that, you know, will probably take on the business, and you can have conversations with them. And sure enough, I passed them on, and that aggregator, man, they swooped up that work like you wouldn't believe. And every so often, you know, they'll call one of our offices and ask us to do some work, and, you know, we always turn it down. But at the end of the day, there's always somebody who will take the business. You don't have to worry about that. There's always somebody who will put themselves in that position. But maintaining a good reputation ensures that you're going to do the work. Maintaining a good reputation also ensures that you're going to get the work done correctly. Right? We got to get the work done right. We got to do the work on time. So if we commit to doing the work, we got to do it the right way. Now, if I take you back to my own personal failure, my own personal story of Radio Shack, which is where we started this whole thing, to close all the loops on this, is what happened with Radio Shack. Well, my guys in the call center are taking call after call after call, work order after work order after work order. I mean, you could be 9 o'clock Monday morning and you could be 50, 60 work orders deep. And my mistake then was I would take on multi-million-dollar contracts, and then I would look to pay the least amount of money that I possibly could to somebody in the seat to take care of the work. So I'd pay these guys 20, 25 bucks an hour, whatever it is, and they would be the ones managing the calls. Now I'm paying $45,000 a year to manage millions of dollars worth of work. So the person that I put in the seat just didn't have the skill set. They didn't have the patience. They didn't have the ability to properly manage that work. And so you wonder why the work isn't successful. You wonder why that happens. You can sit there and be mad at the employee and you can say, dang it, that person, I can't believe he did that, cost me all of this, and I'm firing him and I'm letting go, and that guy ruined my business. But at the end of the day, it always comes back to the owner. It always comes back to you. And when people see the owner, they always think, oh man, that person's successful. That person has all this. That person has all that. Oh man. Even if you don't, even if you're struggling just to make payroll, even if you're struggling to survive, they don't know, they don't see. So the buck is always going to stop with you. And so what I learned was that if I really wanted to have a good reputation, I needed to have a good reputation in the office. That's where the reputation needed to start. I needed to have a good reputation with my team members. I need to have a good reputation with the people that are working for me in my business. And how does that start? Well, it starts with setting the expectation. I gotta set the expectation with my team. If they don't know what to expect, if they don't know what's going to happen, then how am I setting them up to be successful? Right? And then I got to hire the right people, and then I got to make sure that the workload isn't overbearing. Right? I got to make sure that they're doing enough work and they're getting it done, and I got to make sure in, you know, deadline time that they push through and they put in the extra hours and they get their work done. But you know, at the same time, they got to have some balance. Like, they got to love to be here. They got to say, man, this is awesome. And, you know, I'm enjoying my work here, and I'm enjoying what the team puts together, and this is really good, and I love this. And so it's about culture. And I saw a post on LinkedIn just last night where somebody, you know, writes this post, and they're like, people throw the word culture around all the time. And, you know, for those companies who don't really build good culture, you know, you better pay attention because you won't be in business long. Well, here's the truth. They probably will be just fine. Life will go on. Business will go on. People will still take jobs. People still need to pay the bills. People still need to pay rent. People still need to do all of the things that they would normally do. They just may not have the best performers, or the best performers may not stick around, but they'll still in business, they'll still be working, they'll still be getting work done. They're not going to go out of business. I don't believe that. I think there's enough mediocrity, in the workplace that they'll just keep going. But I think culture is something that you do to build an amazing company. So culture is something that you focus on to build a world-class organization. Culture is something that you do when you're striving for a purpose greater than yourself, right? Culture is something that you build when you say, you know what, I really want to enjoy the place that I come to work at. As an owner, have you ever come to work and have you ever thought to yourself, gosh, I just don't like these people. Why am I doing this? I got to put up with these people all day long. Gosh, they don't pay the bills on time. They don't get the jobs done on time. They keep crashing my trucks. They're wrecking all of this. Gosh, man, I hate all my employees. My employees are ruining my business. My employees are taking me down. And I ask you, whose fault is that? Who did that? Who created that culture? Somebody created it. Somebody built it. Somebody made that happen. And so that is always you. That is always the owner. That is whether you're absent or whether you're involved, or the way that you treat people, the way that you talk to them, the way that you go about managing your business. You're creating culture, whether you know it or not. The culture that's in your heart, the culture that you live with, the culture that you go home with, that's the culture that's going to be instilled in your business. You're going to attract like minds. You're going to attract people who are like you. You're going to attract people who believe in you. You're going to attract people who follow your own brand of crazy, right? That's what you're going to attract. And so when those people come to your place and they see you and they say, oh man, I like this environment, I like this work, what happens next? Well, the big thing here is that, as we're building our business and as we're protecting our reputation and as we're building our own brand of crazy, as we're putting all this together, what is the end result? Well, we got to train our people, right? Okay, so how are we training them? How are we getting culture down to them? How are we pushing culture down the ladder? And I'll go back to that LinkedIn post that says, oh man, there's so many companies, they fake culture and they use it as a buzzword. I can't say whether they do or they don't. But what I can say is that most people who own businesses try to make those businesses better on a daily basis. They try their hard. Nobody get in business to make somebody's life miserable. But you got to remember, we're all humans too, right? We're all humans. And so what I believe the thing is that you got to really look at the job. And you got to look at the job that has to be done. You got to identify the seat. So this is step one to having a good reputation. You identify the seat. And then when you identify the seat, what are the qualifications for that person to execute well in the seat? And then what kind of personality temperament does that person need to be able to execute this job at a high level? And those things match up. Boom. Now we've got the right person in the right seat with the right qualifications and the right temperament. Now we can destroy that person in 2 weeks, or we can make them a rock star. How do we do that? We set the expectation clearly up front. We let them know exactly what this job entails, exactly what's going to be asked of them, and we really focus on building that the right way. Okay? And then from there we train them. We actually spend time to invest in them so that they understand the business, they understand what we do, they understand the culture of the company. They understand what we believe in. They understand the things that are important to us. And that's really, really important, because when they understand it and then they've been trained on it and then they go to work, now they have a baseline for what success looks like. And so when they understand what success looks like, they understand what kind of company you are. And when they understand what kind of company you are, they understand how important things like reputation are. And they're here to deliver their best, and they've been trained, and their expectation has been set, and they can't say, oh, I didn't know how to do this particular item. They say, I didn't know I'm not supposed to curse out the facility manager from Radio Shack. Right? What they know is that, hey, under the most pressure, if you're feeling that pressure and that stress, you just raise your hand and take a break. Take a couple minutes off, reset. Hey, talk to your supervisor, talk to your team about what went wrong. Why are you feeling stressed? Right? Make sure you're in a good position for yourself. Right? And then at no circumstances do we ever, speak that way to a customer, right? We're going to focus on this incredible customer experience. Yes, sir. I'm going to take care of that. I'm going to do that for you. I was just sharing this with somebody, but I love flying on Delta. Right? I love flying Delta because they're always so nice. They always take care of you. And I was on a plane ride going somewhere with my daughter, and the flight, attendant, you could tell they maybe had a bad day or something. They got a little snippy. And we didn't play into it. We didn't let it do anything. But what happened? Man, she came back around and she actually changed her attitude. She was so nice. And I've flown Delta hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And you know that I've never had a bad experience with a flight attendant? Is that just that I got lucky hundreds and hundreds of times? Or is that part of their culture? Is that part of their DNA? Is that something they train on? Is that something they build on? Well, the truth of the matter is that it's something that they build on. It's something that they train on. It's something that they teach their staff. Hey, listen, you're having a bad day. You just take it. Just don't show it to the customer, right? Keep that separate. Keep that work-life balance separate. I hired a guy a long time ago. He was, he did a great job. He was great at work, but what happened was life always got in the way. His life was just messy. A lot of personal problems. And I said, listen, man, I'll hire you back. I'll bring you back. Your work is awesome, but you got to leave the personal at home because you make it so crazy at work that I just need you to leave that at home. He's like, I understand, man. I know, I do. It's true. And for the first year, he leave it all at home. What happens? It starts creeping in. You got to check. Hey, man, you got to leave that at home. Got to leave that at home. You're an awesome performer, but you got to leave that at home. And so, as you're building your business and as you're building your brand and as you're going to work and as you're going about your day and that reputation, whether the reputation speaks to you as an owner or speaks to you as an employee, what kind of relationship do you want to have with the boss when you quit your job or you leave your job or you move on? Do you want that to be healthy and strong? Do you want to burn that bridge? What kind of reputation do you want to have? And I believe that if we follow the golden rule, if we treat people right, if we do what we say we're going to do, if we set the expectations, we are always going to really have that pristine reputation. Now, at the beginning of the call, I mentioned, hey, I get this negative review. How do I deal with it? What do I do? What do I do to protect my reputation when that person says, I never, ever, ever want to work with this company again and they're the worst company on the planet? Why did that person leave that review? Well, the truth of the matter is that they left that review because of the fact that they probably couldn't get a hold of you. That's what I find the majority of it is that they are just sending out lightning strikes to try to get you to respond and resolve an issue. And what you find is that when you get that kind of review and you actually go back and look at the historical data, what you'll see is that, well, we tried to call on Monday, and we tried to call on Tuesday, and we tried to call on Wednesday, and we tried to call, and we tried to call, and we tried to call. And nobody responded. Nobody responded. And so I was left to leave this review. And what you find is that if you get on the phone and you listen to them and you talk to them and you make it right, a lot of times they'll take that review down. Even if they said they never wanted to work with you, they don't even really mean all of those words anyways. They're just trying to get their frustration out. They're just trying to be heard. And so one of the best things you can do with that client Let them talk. Let them share. Let them tell you what's going on. And then, you know what? Solve it. And as the owner, you get on that phone, or as the top executive, or as the person, you get on that phone and you take personal ownership and you say, listen, sir, I will own this. I will personally make this my priority to get it taken care of. I will not rest until this is done right. You signed on for a world-class experience, and we're going to deliver a world-class experience, and that's what I'm going to give you. And I am going to take care of that. And listen, as a step of good faith, would you take this review down? And at the end of the project, if you're not happy, if I haven't come through with you, just feel free to put it back up. You have that right, and I have no problem with that if I fail you, but let me finish. Let me show you what I can do. And you know what? The majority of people are going to say, you know what? That's fair. You've taken responsibility. You're the owner. The buck stops with you. I understand what you've said. And you know what? I didn't even really mean the review anyways. I was just upset that nobody was calling me back. Well, listen, I'm putting training procedures in place. We're going to take care of that right now. This kind of experience is never going to happen again. Actually, thank you for leaving the review because you're going to help make my business better. And if you want that good reputation, when you have failures, you get up, you own the failure, don't make excuses, and make it right for your customer. And if you do that, and if you can live by that motto, then your reputation will be solid. And that's what it's all about, is building that solid reputation. I hope you've enjoyed this time that we've had together today. I know that I have. If you found this interesting or you liked it, give it a share, give it a like, pump it out to your neighbor, to your network. I almost said neighborhood, network. Throw it out to your network, and follow me on LinkedIn. David Westcott on LinkedIn. Follow me. Just look for this beautiful face and you'll get all this good content. Have an awesome afternoon.